Businessman returned home earlier than expected, and upon opening heavy oak door, shiver ran through him completely. In hallway, barely illuminated by dim light, scene seemed taken from nightmare. There was his little daughter, kneeling on cold marble floor, with reddened and trembling hands, dress worn and stained with tears and dust. In instant, all mansion's grandeur vanished, exposing cruel truth, hidden secrets, silent threats and conspiracy woven by those supposed closest, transforming home into prison for innocence. What city are you watching this video from and what time is it? By the way, if you're enjoying my videos, I'd be so happy if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you value stories of second chances, family courage, and doing what's right, this tale will remain in memory long after finishing it. A company journey of girl who dared whisper truth and father who finally decided to listen. In silent mansion and upscale neighborhood, autumn sun rays filtered through tall windows, falling on cold floor where little Valeria leaned, holding worn rag. Her blue and purple dress, inheritance from mother, was damp and torn. Small puddles reflected light from hanging lamp. Each movement left red marks on rag. Her hands were cracked and bleeding. Air smelled of wax and spilled wine, as if house's majesty hid invisible wound. In corner still hung portrait of Martina, deceased mother, smiling serenely, like specter observing everything in silence. Camila, in tight red dress and pearl necklace that belonged to Martina, stood with arms crossed, lips painted red too intense for gloom. Her voice cut silence with surgical precision. "Harder, Valeria. That corner's still dirty and don't forget what I told you." Girl raised eyes for instant, trying to catch breath. "Please let me rest moment. My hands can't take anymore." Camila frowned, leaned, and with abrupt movement tipped water bucket on floor. Ice-cold water reached Valeria's knees, who shuddered. "Tired? Then scrub harder and remember. If you tell father anything, everything remaining of your mother will be lost." Valeria pressed lips containing fear. Mother's name was like blade-piercing chest. Silent, resumed task. Each movement small torment, while tears suspended on eyelashes refused to fall. Wind dragged dry leaves against mansion walls and afternoon faded into night. Despite luxury, house seemed empty, as if walls had absorbed all joy and Martina's laughter. Each rub of rag on floor hurt Valeria's arms, who could barely move. Silence was only broken by short breaths and rag's squeak. Suddenly, something different cut air. Main lock turned and door slam resonated in hallway, announcing unexpected arrival. Sound of Leonardo Paredes' firm steps, respected businessman thundered on marble. He entered still in gray suit, tie loose after hours of meetings in downtown. Advanced few steps, tired but elegant, until stopping abruptly before scene. Daughter kneeling in middle of puddle with soaked dress and eyes red from crying. Valeria, surprised, dropped rag from injured hands. Leonardo remained paralyzed. For first time in years, couldn't simply cross hall with usual confidence. Had to look daughter in eyes. Valeria raised tired red gaze, barely holding father's. For instant, something broke inside him. Remembered promise made to Martina on that fateful night in hospital. Never leave her alone. Phrase returned like blow, propelling him to dining room. Table was impeccable, work of Camila's meticulousness. White tablecloth, freshly baked bread still warm, black olives in clay bowl, wine bottle resting in crystal glasses. Autumn wind hit shutters and dragged dry leaves through courtyard. Luxury remained intact, but silence was tense. Valeria remained huddled in corner, rigid, as if single wrong movement could unleash another punishment. Camila approached with rehearsed smile. "It was just small accident. She spilled water and I wanted to teach her to be more orderly. Discipline in details forms character." Leonardo didn't respond. He approached daughter and took cold, injured hands, and in that instant, all distance of years disappeared. World's harshness, mistakes of those who should protect her, and fear surrounding her began to fade. Finally, Leonardo looked at Camila firmly. Nothing would be same from now on. Valeria's hands were so small they fit entirely in father's palm. But what really stopped Leonardo were red cracks on knuckles, skin chapped from cold and constant rubbing. Valeria tried to withdraw fingers shyly, but he held them few more seconds, observing each detail. "What happened here?" His voice sounded low, charged with gravity. Camila raised eyebrows, feigning surprise. She fell while trying to clean stairs. Children always get scratches, she said, shrugging naturally. Valeria remained silent. Lips moved barely, as if wanting to speak, but something stronger than fear stopped her. Finally lowered gaze toward empty plate before her. Leonardo felt knot in throat. Words stuck, unable to come out. Dinner began under tension that seemed solid, almost tangible. Only sound was click of silverware against marble. Valeria barely touched bread. Each time tried to lift spoon. Hand trembled so much seemed she would spill stew. Leonardo watched her in silence. Wine he held tasted like ash. Camila filled air with superficial conversations, social commitments, influential acquaintances, upcoming trips. Leonardo responded with monosyllables, incapable of concentrating on anything other than daughter's cracked hands, hidden under table, and way she avoided raising gaze. Wall clock marked past 10, and metallic sound of chimes seemed to underline Valeria's silence. Leonardo leaned toward her with soft voice, but she looked away immediately like frightened little bird. Camila insisted with courtesy smile that she eat bit more, serving stew before her. Valeria lifted spoon with effort, held it few seconds and let it fall on plate with weak tap, breathed deeply, fighting against something invisible. And finally voice broke. "Dad, my hands can't take anymore." Glass Leonardo held remained suspended in air, oscillating dangerously near edge. Room seemed to stop. Camila feigned motionless smile while he felt heart freezing. For first time understood something dark hid in own house. Dawn arrived with golden light filtering through wooden shutters. Leonardo had barely slept. Image of Valeria with injured hands and broken voice haunted him all night. Walked through carpeted hallway, steps muffled by mansion silence. Fingers stopped before door that had been closed too long. For a few seconds hesitated before turning key forgotten on desk. Dry creak announced opening. Room still smelled of Martina. Wasn't strong smell, but delicate trace of perfume mixed with dust and memories. Curtains remained drawn, letting in warm morning light. On dresser rested carefully folded handkerchief, and beside it wooden box covered with thin layer of dust. Leonardo opened it slowly. Inside was yellowed envelope with Martina's slanted handwriting. With trembling hands took it and sat on bed. Letter said, "If I'm no longer here, take care of Valeria. Don't trust just anyone. Her eyes will show you truth." Words written with faded ink sounded like living whisper in mind. Leonardo pressed paper against chest and wife's voice in hospital returned forcefully, reminding him of unfulfilled promise. Never leave her alone. Memories overwhelmed him. Thoughts, unjust doubts, rumors, and loneliness after Martina's death had made him distance himself from girl, convinced she was painful reflection of what was lost, when actually was only reason to remain standing. He stood and walked to unlit fireplace where family portrait hung. Martina smiling serenely, holding newborn, and himself with expression of pride almost forgotten. Stab of shame pierced him. Had denied that part of life too long. Slight creak interrupted thoughts. Valeria appeared barefoot with glass of water between hands. Remained motionless seeing him, as if fearing having intruded on forbidden sanctuary. Leonardo said nothing, simply observed carefully. Little one advanced uncertainly and extended glass. "Dad thought you were thirsty," Valeria whispered, voice trembling. For first time in years, Leonardo dared look at her directly. Large eyes shone with same light he remembered from wife Martina. Not slightest doubt. Same sparkle, same depth. Silence between both became dense, but something inside him crumbled and at same time began rebuilding. Valeria lowered gaze, squeezing glass tightly. Leonardo breathed deeply, Martina's letter still burning in memory. Knew in that instant truth could no longer continue being ignored. Leaned barely, murmuring to himself, "Today I'll know truth, even if it hurts me." Rain hit windows forcefully, filling dining room with constant murmur seeming to accompany each contained breath. On long table covered with white tablecloth and crystal glasses rested several documents Camila and Ricardo had placed with solemn gesture. Chandelier emitted warm glow, but tension was so palpable light couldn't soften it. Leonardo remained upright in chair, serious face, observing pages before him. "They're simple management papers," Ricardo explained with persuasive voice, adjusting tie. "If you sign them, brother, you can rest from so many responsibilities. We'll take care of what cost you so much effort." Camila intervened immediately, gently resting hand on Leonardo's wrist. trying to transmit calm. "Think of Valeria," she whispered with rehearsed sweetness. "She needs secure environment. Someone to handle details while you recover peace. I always want best for her." Leonardo diverted gaze toward daughter. Valeria sat few seats away, hunched over herself, fingers nervously intertwined. Tried to go unnoticed, but eyes followed each gesture of conversation. Leonardo noticed she hid something between hands. Folded object pressing against lap as if giving strength. Ricardo pushed one of pages toward Leonardo. "Sign here," said with confident tone. "This way everything will be resolved and family will rest." Camila nodded with smile not reaching eyes. "It's best for everyone." Silence became almost suffocating. Clock marked 9:30 and dry toll seemed to remind each minute counted. Leonardo took pen, turned it between fingers, but didn't bring it to paper. Breathing was slow, heavy, charged with years of ignored decisions. Suddenly, Valeria moved clumsily and something slipped from skirt. Object fell on table with dry thud. It was old photograph protected by worn edge. All turned gaze toward it. Leonardo was first to recognize it. Martina with loose hair held newborn. At side, himself younger, with expression of pride forgotten. Image was so clear for instant present disappeared, and Leonardo felt again that father believed lost. Camila opened eyes surprised. Ricardo clenched jaw trying to maintain control. Valeria lowered head ashamed, trembling trying to recover photo unsuccessfully. Leonardo took it first with tense fingers. Paper was thin but weighed like stone on chest. Looked at daughter in silence. Valeria observed him blushing, lips parted, as if wanting to speak but not daring. Eyes, bright and moist, were identical to Martina's in photo. Leonardo felt strange vertigo, recognition piercing him without compassion. For instant, all rain noise disappeared. Squeezed photo and murmured barely, "They're the same." Room held breath. Camila stood quickly trying to recover firm tone. "Don't be dramatic," said coldly. "It's just old photo means nothing." Ricardo seconded with calculated half-smile. "Past is past. Here we speak of future. Sign and everything will be in order." But Leonardo no longer listened. Martina's letter resonated in mind. "Trust only in your daughter's eyes." Slowly raised gaze toward Valeria, who looked at him with contained trembling. In those eyes recognized truth denied too long. With decided movement, closed document folder and pushed it aside. "This can wait," said with grave voice. "Won't sign anything until reviewing with lawyer." Silence was immediate. Camila frowned and Ricardo pressed lips trying to hide surprise. Valeria, seated at end, let escape small sigh of relief, hiding it immediately. That night, while wind hit shutters, Leonardo walked through mansion's dark hallways. Stopped before Valeria's room door and heard muffled sob. Knocked gently and without waiting for response entered. Girl sat on bed hugging cushion with all strength. "Why are you crying?" he asked in low voice. Valeria looked at him with fear, still doubting whether could speak. Finally whispered, "They have plan. Say if I speak, they'll throw Mom's ashes in street." Leonardo felt cold fire run through body. Approached clumsily and caressed hair. "You'll never be alone again. I promise." Next day decided to seek help and met discreetly with Esteban Garcia, trusted lawyer, ready to protect daughter and confront everything hidden in home. In small cafe near Central Square, aroma of freshly ground coffee and toasted bread with oil-filled air, while cathedral bells marked noon. Leonardo, with serious gesture, extended Martina's letter before Esteban Garcia, trusted lawyer, and recounted suspicions accumulated about Camila and Ricardo. Esteban listened carefully, nodded without interrupting. Finally said, "We can act," voice firm, "but need solid proof. Recording, testimony, something judge can't ignore." Leonardo frowned. Knew this implied risk within own house, but there was no turning back. That same afternoon, returning to mansion, noticed Camila speaking in low voice by phone in study, while Ricardo entered and left naturally, as if place belonged to him. Valeria, on other hand, took refuge in library leafing through music notebook that belonged to mother. Leonardo approached slowly and found her clumsily drawing notes on blank page. "Mom taught me this song," Valeria whispered, "but I forgot it." Leonardo swallowed, caressed score and with thread of voice hummed first notes still remembered. Valeria's eyes lit up and for first time in months, sketched fragile but genuine smile. With decided heart, Leonardo decided to install discreetly, with Esteban's help, small recording device in main living room. Device was camouflaged as smoke detector, invisible to those not knowing it. While adjusting last details, heard Camila's steps approaching, and with rehearsed smile commented needed to review house security. She suspected nothing. That night, during dinner, tension reached maximum point. Valeria accidentally spilled bit of water. Glass rolled and fell to floor with crash. Camila stood abruptly with contained fury. "You're incapable of doing anything right," whispered with sharp voice. Valeria shrank and with trembling voice let escape whisper-piercing room. "I have your eyes, Dad." Leonardo froze. World seemed to stop. Phrase resonated inside like silent thunder, louder than any proof could have gathered. In those eyes saw not only Martina's reflection, but also part of himself denied too long. Girl, with face flushed from fear, lowered gaze immediately as if had revealed secret too large for lips. Camila, nervous, tried to break tension. "Girl, don't talk nonsense, don't know what you're saying." But Leonardo no longer listened. Extended hand and caressed daughter's hair with tenderness forgotten. Valeria shuddered first from surprise, then from relief. Ricardo, witnessing scene, shifted in chair, murmuring with irritation. "Don't waste time with sentimentalism. Important thing is what you sign." Leonardo raised gaze. Authority in eyes was enough to impose silence. With slow gesture, pushed papers aside toward Ricardo. "Won't sign anything," said with grave voice. "And from today, decisions about this house and my daughter I make alone." Rage drew on Camila's and Ricardo's faces. She clenched fists. He leaned forward, trying to protest. It was then Leonardo stood and walked toward sideboard, determined to mark new course for home and protect Valeria from everything that had remained hidden. Leonardo discreetly turned on small device Esteban had provided. Barely perceptible hum filled room, and then Camila's metallic voice emerged clear, cruel, threatening Valeria, mentioning Martina's ashes, her mother. Each word resonated like invisible whip against walls and girl-covered ears trembling. Leonardo hugged her tightly, protecting from poisonous echo. Suddenly, knock-on-door interrupted moment. Esteban entered accompanied by local judge and police officer, all summoned in advance. Ricardo paled. Camila stammered excuses, but judge raised document, protective order for Valeria, and freeze any suspicious movement on family fortune. Confrontation was inevitable. Ricardo protested, but officer held him calmly. Camila tried to maintain composure, but ended up removed from dining room between tears of rage. Valeria, still trembling, clung to father's jacket like lifeline. Leonardo, with serious face, thanked judge and Esteban with firm handshake. For first time in years, felt had fulfilled Martina's memory. Following days were whirlwind. Legal procedures, statements, and news spreading throughout city. But inside mansion routine began changing. Valeria no longer slept with closed door, sometimes left it ajar, as if making sure father's presence wouldn't disappear. Leonardo spent more time at home preparing simple snacks, bread with oil, hot chocolate in winter. Little by little silence filled with everyday sounds, piano playing again, timid laughter, shared steps in courtyard. October arrived, and with it fall festival. Square lit up with colored garlands, nougat and fritter stands, smell of cinnamon and sweet cider. Leonardo led Valeria by hand through crowd. Girl observed fascinated lanterns and processions, while cathedral bells resonated over cobblestone streets. Before stand, elderly woman offered them egg custard tart. Valeria accepted piece and before tasting broke it in two to share with father, simple gesture that made Leonardo's heart soften. Through crowd, Esteban approached and patted shoulder. "Now most difficult begins," he said. Leonardo smiled humbly. "I know. Learning to be father day by day, but this time don't plan to flee." That night, returning to mansion, Valeria asked him to teach melody heard on cathedral organ. Leonardo opened Martina's old piano and began practicing. Notes came out clumsy, but in each chord breathed new beginning. Valeria raised gaze and with renewed security in voice said, "Dad, I'm no longer afraid." Leonardo felt eyes moisten, hugged her, and with broken but firm voice responded, "Your eyes saved me, my daughter." Tower clock marked midnight. Outside, festival lights went out. But inside Mansion, for first time in years, was clarity nothing could extinguish. Leonardo knew wounds remained to heal, nights of painful memories, but also knew had chosen correct path. Living for daughter, repairing what was broken and honoring Martina's memory. Last candle flame over wife's portrait flickered instant before going out. In that silence, Leonardo understood cycle was closed. From that night on, Mansion would no longer be place of shadows, but home where love had found way to be reborn. Sometimes only takes glance to tear down years of silence. Reunion between Leonardo and Valeria wasn't grandiose act, but simple gesture, recognizing each other in others' eyes. What began as house full of secrets ended transforming into home, where love breathed again. Money and power never replace home's warmth. We can lose objects, titles, opportunities, but must never renounce possibility of loving and being loved. Kindness, though may seem small, has power to transform entire lives. Like lamplit in window of old house, single gesture of affection can illuminate even darkest nights. Everyone needs place to feel safe. Hug, reminding us we're not alone, and certainty it's always possible to start over. Perhaps you too carry past mistakes. Words never said, distances still hurting. This story reminds us it's never too late to repair what's broken. Ask forgiveness, extend hand, give time and attention. Simple actions building bridges more solid than any material wealth. In end, what really remains aren't properties or contracts, but people who decide to walk at our side. Take a moment now. Think of someone close, that pending word, that hug you can still offer. Time is fragile, but when shared becomes eternal. If this story has touched some fiber of memory, share it with someone special. And if wish to continue exploring tales where kindness defeats fear, where family finds strength, and where love prevails over darkness, join us in next chapters. Because true wealth isn't measured in figures or properties, but in capacity to remain together, even when everything seems lost.